So the other day I was browsing YouTube as one does, and I realized something that I found quite strange. There aren't very many tutorials on YouTube specific to becoming Sub-1 on 4x4. And I found this really strange because Sub-1 is the equivalent of being Sub-20 on 3x3. It's a pretty big goal in 4x4 solving. There are a few videos out there, but the ones I found either weren't very good because they weren't in English, or the creator taught some pretty bad habits that you'd have to break in the future once you got faster. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to be Sub-1 at 4x4. So this video is going to be covering the Yale Method. You can get Sub-1 using other methods such as Hoya or even the beginner's reduction method, but I find that Yale seems to be the easiest one to improve at, and it is the one I recommend using. That being said, if you don't know the Yale method, I will leave a link in the description to a really good tutorial so that you can learn, and then maybe you can come back to this video in the future. So I'm going to go over each individual step of the method and give you guys tips for that specific step. So the first step is first two centers. The biggest tip I have is to be able to solve on one of two centers. So for example, if you only solve on white cross, then you should be able to do white or yellow center first, depending on which one is easier. And for this solve, I'd probably do white first. And so another big tip is to be able to plan for your entire center during inspection. So you want to use as much inspection time as you need to plan for the whole first center. If you can already do one whole center, I'd recommend trying to do a little more than one center, but that is not really necessary until you get down into the 40s. So I'm probably going to do white center first for this one, and I see I can attach these two like that. Then I can bring this one over, do an F2, and then bring this bar down. And I did all that in inspection. Moving on to the first three cross edges, my biggest tip is to turn slowly. Now that might seem counterintuitive because if you're turning slowly, then it's going to be slower, right? But with first three cross edges, the pieces are all over the cube, making it really hard to look ahead. So if you turn really fast, solve one, and then you're looking around the cube for your next two edges, it's going to be really choppy. But if you turn just a bit slower, you will find that your first three cross edges are a lot more consistent. Another tip I have is to make sure you're solving your pieces efficiently and finger trick friendly. So if I'm going to do this edge and this edge, you might bring this edge over, bring this other edge down, do a D prime, and then bring this edge up to connect them, and then put it in the cross. But it's actually easier and regripless to do R, U prime, wide R, and then another U prime. And that saves you one move, and it's more finger trick friendly. For last four centers, I do a method called half centers, and it's exactly as it sounds. You just solve half of each center. So the way you do that is you build 1x2 bars. So I've already got this orange one and this blue one. So I'll solve them relative to each other. So blue is here, orange is here. Then I also see I've got this green one. So I'll solve it relative to the orange one. And now orange is going to be the one on bottom. Green is in front, blue is in back. And I will solve the rest of the orange center. So the pieces here and here, so I can match them up. And then I'll just put them down in the bottom layer. And now here I have two options. I can solve this center in front or the center in the back. And here I'd probably do the one in the front. So I'd move this piece over, bring this one up, and bring it back down. And then you just have last two centers. Doing half centers makes centers really easy to look ahead, and it's also very finger trick friendly because the last part of it uses only wide R moves and U moves. For the last cross edge, I recommend being able to do it like this with the cross on left, or with the cross on bottom, depending on which case you get. And so here I'd probably do it with cross on bottom, so the piece is here and here, and what I'd do would probably be something like this. This isn't the nicest case, but I'd bring this edge up, slice over, insert this edge like that, and then slice back, and I just put it on the cross and do a D2 to line them up with the centers. Just make sure that you can do your last edge efficiently, and you're able to do it with the cross on left or with the cross on bottom, depending on which case you get. For last 8 edges, you can turn really fast because it's pretty easy to look ahead. Sometimes you get some odd cases that you might not be expecting. So for example, I already have one edge solved, so you need to know how you're going to approach cases like this. And the way I usually approach a case if I have one edge solved is, instead of solving 3 edges the first time I slice, I'll only solve 2, and then I can finish it off like it's supposed to be done. One of the most common awkward cases is when you have this edge here that's already going to be solved when you slice it over, and then you need to find the corresponding edge so that it can go back here, but it's underneath this edge here. So what a lot of people would do, I think, is just slice, take this edge out, put it in the back, and then slice back. But it's a lot easier to slice the other way, insert an edge, and then slice back. So now you just have a different edge to work with, and you have an edge solved. As far as 3x3 stage goes, there's really only one thing I can talk about, and that is influencing PLL with your PLL parity. So here you can see I obviously have PLL parity, and if I do it like this, from this angle, I'm going to get an F perm. But if I do it from this angle instead, I'll get a T perm, which is obviously better than an F perm. Another good example is this case. So here if I do PLL parity like this, I'm going to get a G perm. But if I did it from this angle instead, I'll get an R perm. Again, a much nicer PLL. So you can't really learn which angles will give you which PLLs. The only way you can figure it out is just by doing a lot of solves, and it will come intuitively to you as you practice. So now I'm just going to do a real quick walkthrough solve to just briefly cover everything I talked about in this video all in one solve. The scramble will be right at the top of the screen so you can follow along. So here I see that I already have a 1x2 bar made, so that's probably going to be my first center. So I'd hold it like this with the bar in the back, and I would do an F prime, then slice so I can pair these two up. Then I'd do a D to move this bar out of the way so I can bring this one down. And now I see these two yellow pieces, so I'd probably do that, and then a D, put it on the top, and then I see this piece here and this piece here, so I can just slice like that, rotate, and here I see this edge is already made, so I just put it in the cross, and I'd also see these, so that's going to be my second one, so I do an F prime, bring this edge down, and then solve it on the cross. And now here I saw this one, and I was tracking this piece here, and so I'm looking around, and this is probably the first piece I'd see, so I'd do an R2, U prime, bring these two together, and then stick it on the cross. Now for my centers, I'd probably do the green one as my bottom center, so I'd bring the red down here, and then do an R2, bring this orange one here, and then I'd put the green on bottom. Now I saw this green edge, or green center was back here, and the other one is right here. So I'd do that, do an R2 to pair them up, and now I see this orange center, and the other orange center is right here, so I can do a U prime, bring this orange center up, U, and bring it back. Then last two centers is pretty easy. You should already know how to do those pretty efficiently. And now for my last cross edge, I see they're here and here, so I'd probably do an R prime, U prime, slice, take it out, slice back, rotate, put it on the cross, and then do a D prime. Now here I see I have this edge here, the blue and yellow one, and the other one is here. So I'd probably slice, do a U2, bring it down where it needs to go, and I see the orange and green edge. I'm looking for the other one, and it's back here, and I know that it's back here actually because these are the orange or the green and red edges, and I don't really see any other edges that could be the green and orange one because neither of these stickers are green or orange, and this is not the edge. Again, these are not green or orange, so I'm pretty sure it's this one, and it is, so I'll put it right here, and then I'm finding the blue and red one, and it's over here, and then so I'd probably just rotate, do a U2, put it in the bottom. Now as I slice back, I'm looking to see what this is, so I'll slice, and here's the other piece, so I'd rotate, insert this edge, and I see that this is green and yellow. This is the other green and yellow, so I'd slice, do a U2, put this edge in, slice back, and now last three edges, I'd insert this so when I slice over it I'll solve the red and yellow, and then I'd put this in like that, slice back, my edges are done. Now 3x3, this would be my first pair, and then this is a 3-move insert. I'd probably do this one next, U2, pair them up and insert, and then here I'd cancel into inserting this edge. And then now parity, then OLL, and a G prime. So if you have any questions, then feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified of any videos I post like this in the future. And as always, thanks for watching.